So we'll get started with our colors. So now you know that these are techniques that we're going to use. Colors, you can see what we have. We have yellows, we have reds, there's some orange here as well, and I'll tell you how to mix orange. We have some blues and purples. I'll explain how to mix purples. We have some browns as well. So we'll do all those colors as we paint. Okay. You can see on my palette, I have yellows, I have reds, I have some nice pink here. I have some two kinds of blue. One is lighter, one is darker. And this is all that you need. I also have browns here. Okay, burnt cyan. So I'll give you all a minute to set up your palette and then we'll get started. Let's get started. Now, when you approach this painting, the question is, should I do the background first or should I do the bird first? Should I do the roof first? It's completely your choice what you want to do. But just to keep simple, for the sake of simplicity and your choice, I'll prefer to do the bird first because if things are wet here, it'll be hard to paint while your hand is here. So we'll try to do as much as possible here and paint here and move in this direction. Okay, because once this is drying, you can paint here, right, and keep moving back and forth. You'll have to do in many layers. We won't be do this in like one shot. We'll have to come back and add some paint. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started with the bird first. Okay, now for that, I'm going to use the wet on wet technique. Okay, what are you going to use? Wet on wet. First, I'm going to wet it with plain water, and then I'm going to use some paint on it. And if you see, there is a lot of white areas here. How are you going to paint white in watercolors? You just don't paint here. We just leave it as it is, and then we'll come back and add some details to make it look white. But we're not going to add any white color here. Okay, there's no white paint. So here we go. We're going to start in small sections. I'm going to start on the top section here. Okay. And I'm going to keep my two paints ready. One is this blue. One is this other darker blue. Okay. And also, I'm going to make some purple here and keep ready. I'm going to take some of this blue. Take that purple. Make some nice purple here. And I'm going to keep this ready. Okay. So that when we need some nice purples, we're going to use it. Okay, now I'm going to take some plain water and I'm going to just wet this area. I'm going to leave the white area where there's white, like near the beak, and I'm going to leave it as it is, plain water. Okay, then I'm going to take some blue here, the lighter one first, almost like a tea consistency, tea to coffee, which means more water and less paint. I'm going to add some paint here in these layers. Then I'm going to take some of this dark blue, almost like a milky consistency. And I'm good. While this is wet, I'm going to go ahead and add some paint on it. Some purple. Some areas I'm going to leave it as it is and not paint there. Okay. And then I'm going to leave this area as it is. Just a little more of purple on this end. We're going to continue the same thing, wet on wet, at the bottom as well, in small areas. And you can see that here it's lighter and some areas get darker. Okay. And we're going to make sure that we keep those areas darker and these little layers lighter. Okay. So we'll go one by one, adding some clear water in some of the areas and painting them with just some lighter colors. I'm adding a little bit of red here, the pink, just to get some variety of color here. Okay. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to come on this side, add more water. So this goes layer by layer. You can't rush this process. Take some blue. And then I wait for it to dry. I'm going to do the same thing above in these two areas and also here at the tail. Okay. Wet the area. I'm going to take a bit of darker blue mixed with some pink. In some areas, add some on the darker area. At the bottom again, I'm going to add the same blues and purples here. Okay, and I'll let this to dry. We'll come back, we'll add more layers to this. Okay, but now, right now, I'm not going to touch it. So, how do you approach the roof here? The roof is actually simpler than the bird because we're going to just use wet on dry. We're not going to use any wet on wet, so we can just go dip some paint and get going. But what's important here to notice is when I look at the black and white picture here, you have to make sure that these areas are light and the other areas next to it are dark. Only then it will look like a roof and you look like there is light here. This is very important. You cannot have it all dark. So make sure that some are really light and some are dark. Okay, so that's why we have the black and white picture to understand that. Okay, so first I'm going to take the yellow and almost like a tea to coffee consistency, just paint the yellow areas. Only the yellow areas here. Maybe mix a bit of brown here, but yeah. This is going to be like a tea to coffee consistency, not too dark. I'm just going to go to those areas where there is yellow or brown. You can see light brown, yellow. Okay. So we've gotten some lights here, light yellows, and maybe we'll have to come and add some more light, more yellow here, because sometimes the yellows dry very light. Next, I'm going to go and add the reds and oranges. How do you make orange? We're going to take a yellow and mix some red to it, and that becomes your oranges. Okay, so some orange, some reds, and that's how we're going to balance this out. Okay, Here we go. We can start from anywhere actually. How about we start from here? So I'm going to start with some oranges because I know you can always go ahead and add some color. More, we'll make some orange, some red, some maybe add some brown. Okay. And here I'm going to make it very light, not too dark. Also, maybe you can use some of this blue here. So I'm going to alternate between the yellow and, sorry, the red and the orange. In some place, I'm going to go red and some place orange. Okay, continuing our red here. I know at this point, everything looks so raw because we haven't added the details here. We still have many layers to go and also details, which will make it look like realism. Excuse me. It look like realistic. So we do have time for that, but for now we go slowly into layers. Okay. And this is very important in watercolors. You go slowly, add layers, because you can always add more layers, but to remove paint is very hard in watercolors and it'll ruin the paper. Okay, so that's why we go slow. So we let this dry now. In the meanwhile, we can go back to the bird and we can go ahead and add some more layers here. Okay, first of all, you can go and make the eye. The eye here is almost like orange color. So I'm going to take some milky consistency and make the eye orange and let it dry. In the meanwhile, we can take, excuse me, some blue. And also I'm making some purple on the side. And on this end, I'm going to add some like feather-like texture here with purple. Around the neck, it is darker here. some on the top as well. Okay. I'll take a little bit of blue and complete the beak here. It's making more purple, so that we have lots of purple here. We end here, a lot of purple here. I'm going to come down and add some more on the ends here. Wherever I feel, I look at the black and white picture and see that, you know, they needs more color. So this is adding second layer here. You can see more blues here, more darker here. It's going to be black, and I'll teach you how to make black. But for now, I'm just going to add more layers here. Okay. Now to make black, you mix burnt sienna, that is blue, and brown. Okay. So I'm going to take some brown and some blue mixed together. And this will not be the exact black I need, because this blue is different. Usually it's ultramarine, blue, and brown. This is going to be almost like a green color, which is fine. I think I'm going to use, maybe I can use some paints gray. I have gray today. I usually don't use it, but it's fine. And I'm going to use that gray here. Some really nice dark layers here. Some more blue. It's more dark, so more pigment here. Okay. Next, we'll let this dry. No, actually, we can do some add additions here. I'm going to take some blue and some blue on this side. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take our reds and browns and paint around this feet here and also in the other areas. Okay, so you can take some brown and I'm going to paint around this area. Maybe I need some blue here to mix in that brown. It's too light here. Some brown here as well. I'm going to add some more red here. I'm going to looking at the black and white image, and wherever I need to add more color, I'm adding more color. I'm going to mix some purple in this light red here, give it a different kind of purple. And I'm going to apply some of it here like a shadow. Shadows are colorful. They are not uh, black and white. So it's very important that you put some colors in the shadows. Some shadows here as well. Just darkening some of the reds here because I think they're quite light. And then we can go onto the bird again. Take really like a butter consistency of dark blue or black if you have. I'm just going to put a dot in the middle. A little bit of blue. Some areas here are quite dull, so maybe I'll add some blue here. Like I said, in watercolor, sometimes you have to go ahead and add more colors if it dries light, because some colors dry light by itself. In watercolors, they dry about 8 to 10% light. So that's why sometimes you feel that even if you applied a lot of color, they look light. So you have to sometimes go and add more color. Okay, I'm going to take some black, or you can mix your black, your ultramarine blue, and burnt sienna. I don't have ultramarine, so I'm not mixing my colors today. My studio is shifted today in my bedroom because we have some renovations going on in the house, so I don't have all my colors next to me. So I'm going to put some black here. I'm going to take, we're going to do the dry brushing technique. I'm going to take some of this black and very less water, and I'm going to just do some textures here, like a dry brush technique. Same thing with yellow, very little water and some paint in it, and some dry brushing here. Okay. So I'll let this dry. We'll have to do a little more details here near the feet here. Need a little more darks. But we can actually go ahead and do a little bit of the background. And for the background, either you can leave it as it is, or we can actually add some color. But I'll show you what we can do. We can either use some of these colors and make a nice background, or we can just use like a black background. But the thing works is when it is wet on wet. Okay, so I'm just going to wet this with some plain water. And I think whatever color I'll find in my palette, I'm going to use it. You be careful around your shapes here, the beak and everything. We don't want to ruin it. Just some water, plain water. And maybe I'll use some black here. You can use some of that pink. So you can make this background the way you like. You can continue here, or you can go back and just maybe add a little bit of here, some color here. You can really make the background your own. You don't really have to add anything, but I just feel that background is a very personal choice for an artist. And that's why I leave it to the artist if you want to do the background or no. I think I messed it a little bit here, but that's okay. Once it dries, I can fix that up. But you get the point that you can go wet on wet, you can add more color. Wet on wet will give a very smooth finish. And that's what we want. We want to keep the feeling of the painting very soft. And if you like, you can add some splattering of paint here, give more effect to the background. Just throwing in some color. But I think this gives a very nice atmospheric effect for the painting, and makes it look like it's like one harmonious painting. Just going to go ahead here and fix some areas. Okay. And that's it. This is the end of the painting. Sign your paintings. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please feel free to email me if you want a feedback, written feedback. If you want to know more about the supplies, I'll be happy to help.